Welcome to 310 to Left, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 48 years, the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. Glad you could join us. Adam Pellerin alongside Lenny DiNardo, Club 45 in the building. That's what we like to say, man. We're both 45 years old, so we made it a Club 45 where, what are the rules, Lenny?
Well, you got to be 45 first and foremost. But I was just saying when we got on that we look like a before and after hair color commercial. Like you're totally in control right now of the color of your hair. I am not right now. I need to get on top of that because I'm looking more like the Club 55 over here right now.
If you go back to your playing days, the hair is, it's immaculate right now, but I mean, there's not a gray hair in sight back in '04.
Yeah, '04, there was a couple. Mike Myers used to sit behind me in the bullpen and literally find rogue gray hairs and pluck them out of my head. Now it's like if he finds a rogue dark hair, I'm lucky. I'm feeling good. Because honestly, I've got, and I say this all the time, I've got like 8 coats of paint on the hood right now, and this is as dark as it's getting.
Yeah, no, it was when you first started at Nesson. If you go back to some old video, it was blanco, man. It was all white, and it was actually a little jarring because I hadn't seen you since your playing days, and I was like, wow, what happened here? But hey,
So
you know
I
what? Great
watched
moss, great
when I
moss.
when I when I first started, someone on Twitter put that old meme or GIF or whatever it is of Matt Damon during the what's the war movie Tom
Saving Private
Hanks
Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan, where he's looking at the tombstone and he goes from like 20 years old to 80 in 5 seconds. Someone's like me watching Lenny DiNardo on Nesson right now. With that meme, I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever read in my life. But it is what it is. We all get older. I'm holding on to it, I
Absolutely.
guess. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I was going to say the rules of Club 45, you talked about the before and after, but also we party hard, but we're in bed before 9, right? Unless it's a game night and we have to
Exactly.
stay up for post game. But yeah, happy to be
It's a
with you, my
short,
friend.
bright light.
Exactly. Happy to be with you. Red Sox and Yankees, first matchup of the year, if you can believe that. We'll dive into the matchup. We'll talk a little bit about the Red Sox in general, the sign stealing thing, the reported sign stealing thing between the Angels and Red Sox. We all saw the video at Fenway Park. We'll get into that. And I mentioned the word moss, right? That's something that our colleague Dennis Eckersley uses, right? Great moss describing hair, right? Well, Eck was inducted into the Mass Broadcasters Hall of Fame, and we'll go down memory lane talking about Eck. But first and foremost, Lenny, where are you right now?
I'm at Fenway Park right now. I'm in the FSM suite. They were gracious enough to open the doors for me and let me do this podcast. I've got an event down on the field. It's Genesis Day at the ballpark, where if the Genesis Foundation for Kids, it raises money and awareness for kids with disabilities, a wide range of disabilities. And I've been doing this for a number of years. It used to be called Yaz Day. Yaz would show up and hang out with the kids as well. And it's something I'm proud to be a part of. And again, I'm looking forward to seeing some familiar faces and raise some awareness as well. So when I'm done here with you, having fun here, I'm going down on the field. I wish you could see my view right now. It's Fenway Park. Right. So I'm having a hard
Yeah.
time looking at you right now because I've got the mound right in front of me. So I'll do my best to concentrate here.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Great weather for it. So that'll be a great day at Fenway. And meanwhile, at Yankee Stadium, the Red Sox and Yankees kicking off the first of 3 tonight. You can see the game right here on Nesson, the pitching matchup, Walker Buehler versus Will Warren. You got Garrett Crochet going in game 2 against Ryan Yarbrough. And then Hunter Dobbins will get the start against Carlos Rodon. So you have a couple of interesting pitching matchups to talk about as we get ready for the series. Lenny DiNardo is at Fenway Park, and we will try to get him back as soon as possible. But as we mentioned off the top while we work on getting Lenny back, is that this is the first matchup against the Yankees this year, right? You got 98 games left in the season, 64 games in, and this is the first time you see the Yankees, but you're going to see them quite a bit over the next couple of weeks. In fact, 6 of the next 9 games are against the Yankees. You got the series in the Bronx. Two of those games, by the way, on national TV. You got a matchup against the Rays, who are playing some good baseball. We'll talk a little bit about that. They just continue to surprise people year in and year out. And then the Yankees again at Fenway Park. So it's not going to be easy for the Red Sox coming off a series loss to the Angels. And again, a couple of one-run losses to the Angels, just unbelievable. But they were a little bit different in nature. The Red Sox were down 6-0 in game one. They came all the way back and lost 7-6. And then, of course, came back to tie the game in game two. It was 3-3, but they lost in extra innings. And then, amazingly, they were able to take the series finale against the Angels with the shortest walk-off home run in Major League history. Cedar Rafael at 308 feet as we welcome Lenny DiNardo back into the fold. You talked about the view, Lenny, but how's the Wi-Fi?
This is the days of podcasts, right? If Wi-Fi goes out, something happens, I get kicked off. You know what? I'm back though. I'm glad to be back. But yeah, you're talking about that 308-foot home run, which is like amazing, but kind of weird at the same time, because at the time the call by OB was like, all right, ball's hit in the air, looking like it's going to go foul, and then home run, it's over the fence. It was kind of like, wow, I cannot believe that ball got out of the ballpark. It's like, that's not a home run in every high school field in the United States, but they'll take it. They needed that win.
Yeah, they did, and it was an absolute wild game, right? With the Angels putting up a 4 spot in the first inning, the Red Sox coming back to take the 5-4 lead. And every time the Red Sox would come back, the Angels would put up another run or two on the board in the top half of the next inning until the Red Sox were able to walk off with the win. But since we're talking about it, Lenny, is that something, I mean, I don't want to say could spark the team, but you needed that win going into the series against the Yankees, right? Because it's like, all right, you come back home after a tough road trip where you got swept by the Brewers. You did take 2 out of 3 from the Braves, but then you come back home and let's say you get swept by the Angels, who aren't very good. They're like sort of in your same boat record-wise. And then you go into the series against the Yankees. I mean, that win at least gets them feeling a little bit better. And I think TC had used an appropriate word in the post-game show with Devin Marrero. There's a sense of relief there.
Yeah, I mean, you always want a happy flight, right? And wins are wins whenever you get them. But yeah, winning the last game of that series when it's kind of deflating when, again, like you said, you're facing an Angels club who's struggling, right? They're kind of in the same boat as the Red Sox, not necessarily doing the small things right. Yeah, you need that win going into Yankee Stadium. And, who knows how this Red Sox is going to play. And that's not a good thing. You want some consistency. You want to know what they're going to bring to the table day in and day out. And the fact that we're all kind of scratching our heads saying, okay, what team are we going to see today? That's not a good feeling. And I always say, talking to Red Sox fans, out in the wild at the YMCA, wherever I work out, they're always coming up to me and asking me what I think. And, if you have starting pitching, you've got relief, you've got offense, and you have defense. 3 of those will go right on any given night.
Yeah.
But there's one of those that seems to be sinking this team at any given moment during these games. And it's been tough to watch because I had this team at 93 wins before the season started. I felt like they were easily going to be a playoff caliber team. They've underperformed. They've had a blow to them as far as injuries. They've got, Tanner Houck was an all-star first half last year. He just is not the same guy this year. Devers started off super slow, but he's came back. He's hitting the ball really well right now. But, the defense is the same story the past 3 years. You're making plays or not making easy plays that, every big league club should be making. And I'm not talking about extraordinary plays. I'm talking about simple plays, the routine plays, the high school caliber plays it's going to help a pitching staff out, right? It's going to limit their number of pitches. So they're going to be able to go deep in games because of the defense and a lot of other factors, not being good in the first inning, affecting them in the 4th and 5th inning. They're not getting deep. It's taxing the bullpen. It's this whole domino effect. And again, it's frustrating. The talent's there, but they're just not playing up to their capabilities.
No, they're not. And the youth is a big factor all of a sudden, right? It's something that we didn't really talk much about going into the year. I think obviously the big talk was bringing in Alex Bregman, and he's going to play third base. Devers is going to move to the DH spot. Tristan Casas is finally healthy. And so, just like that, you're without those two guys in Devers and Casas. You're 3 and 4 hitters on opening day. And there's this big ripple effect that happens as a result. And so you're seeing some of, the youth play into some of, these things that you're talking about, whether it's defense, whether it's decision making, whether it's situational hitting, and it's really impacted them. And, and again, it seems like it's something different, each game that really does them in. And I think, even the series finale against, the Angels, you're playing from behind. You can't win baseball games like that consistently, right? And so Lucas Giolito, who's been one good start, one bad start, one good start, one bad start, he's been inconsistent. The starting pitching as a whole has been inconsistent outside of Garrett Crochet. Walker Buehler had the injury, and so, maybe you give him a little bit more leeway. He's a veteran. You think he'll figure it out at some point. But going into, the season, you're talking about Tanner Houck, and how excited you are about him because of the, especially the first half he had last year. I know he tailed off a little in the second half, but you're hoping for something right in the middle. And you got something way on the other end with an 8 ERA, and now he's on the injured list. And then Brian Bayo, again, he went 6 innings, against the Angels, which is a step in the right direction, but you need to see more and more of that if you're going to win games. And so that's been a big thing. And now Lenny, you're facing a Yankees team that's lights out right now. And Aaron Judge, who we'll talk a little bit about, is having an unbelievable season. The Yankees as a whole, the second best record in the American League, second best home record. A lot of different categories. They're near the top of the league when it comes to offense for sure. The starters ERA, they're fourth thanks to Max Fried. That was a big addition in the offseason. The Red Sox were, said to be in on him, but they went, with Garrett Crochet in a trade rather than free agency. I guess just, high level, your thoughts on the Yankees so far.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing good baseball on all sides, right? Again, and I just mentioned injuries. You mentioned Buehler being hurt. Giolito came in. He was injured early. Tanner Houck. But the Yankees have had their share of injuries as well. You've got Garrett Cole. You've got Heel. These are two guys that are big factors in the Yankees winning, and they haven't been around, but they've got guys that are stepping up. Guys like Yarborough, who I think starting tomorrow, who really just a swingman who's been out of the bullpen, who's not a flamethrower, right? And we're going to talk about Eck later. You talk about Eck and Yarborough. Yeah, yes. Eck hated watching Yarborough. There's like a human rain delay out there, and he's like, why are we not hitting this guy? But again, he's doing an outstanding job getting it done old school, right? I mean, he doesn't throw hard. He mixes it up. He's having a really, really good season for the Yankees right now. And again, you talk about Judge, who's just having another career year. I mean, how many times can you have that type of year? Just getting it done. And Rice, who is a youngster. That's a youngster right there that came up, was successful. People made adjustments on him, but he made that bounce back adjustment, and now again is really, hitting the ball really well as a youngster. So again, Fried, you talk about Fried, who is, just amazing. Let's talk about his pickoff move first of all. He hangs there so long, sits back over the rubber, and then bam towards home plate. If you're on first base, I'm taking 2.5 steps off the bag. I'm staying there just in case, because he's lights out. He's elite when it comes to picking off runners. But again, he competes inside the strike zone. He's got a 95, 96 mile an hour fastball and a nice little bender, nice little curveball that he throws in there for strikes. And it's about competing inside the strike zone, getting ahead with strikes, and then being able to expand outside after you get ahead. That makes hitters go out and swing at pitches that aren't pitches that they're going to be able to do damage on. I feel like that's what this staff is doing so far. And it's the little things, catching it and throwing it, being able to take care of your pitchers. If the ball's hit in the infield, the outfield, making the simple plays, and just playing clean baseball. If you do that, you're going to go out and have a season like the New York Yankees. And, the AL East, every team in the AL East right now is 7-3 or 8-2. In their last 10, except for the Red Sox. They're 3-7. So it tells you a lot about the trajectory of everybody else other than the Sox right now. And it's about exactly that, playing clean, all-around good baseball.
Yeah, the Red Sox go into the series against the Yankees 9.5 games back of New York, and they're 5.5, actually four back, excuse me, of both the Blue Jays and the Rays. The Rays currently in second place, just unbelievable. The Orioles still in last place. They're 4 games though, I believe, behind the Red Sox as we talk right now. And so you look at the series and you look at the pitching matchups. Walker Buehler on the mound in Game 1 against Will Warren, who's coming off a very rough start last time out against the Dodgers. And then you got Yarbrough, who's been pitching well. He's picked up the slack in the rotation, some of the injuries that you were referring to. And then you got Rodon in the series finale. I look at Game 1 as an opportunity. Right, this is an opportunity against Will Warren, who's a young pitcher who hasn't been all that great. So some of the numbers suggest that he gets swing and miss, and he gets weak contact. But if you look at the runs that he's allowed, there's an opportunity there because again, you got Yarbrough and Rodon Game 2 and 3. Red Sox haven't done well against lefty starters this year.
Yeah, Warren, he's a guy, if you look at the whole staff, you look at the rotation for the Yankees, Warren's the guy that gives up the hardest contact, I think. He's the guy where you can go out and do damage on him. He's a young guy, still kind of finding his way. This is his first full season in the big leagues, so he's kind of finding himself, right? And he's got a 5 ERA right now. So I think the Red Sox, if they can go out and play decent baseball, they could easily, I say easily, it's the New York Yankees, but you could come out of this 2-1 in this series because you're facing a guy tonight that has a 5 ERA. They go out, get some runs early, get to that bullpen, tire them out. You've got Crochet tomorrow, who gives you a chance to win every 5 days, even if it's against a lefty in Yarborough. Crochet's going to go out there and hopefully, give us his typical 7 innings, 1 run, give the team a chance to win. And then again, Rodon, he's been a stud this year, tied for the lead in wins in Major League Baseball with 8. He's tough. He's facing a youngster in Dobbins. So, but you never know what can happen. If you play good baseball, any team can beat any team. But again, just play clean baseball, catch it and throw it. Runners in scoring position, put the ball in play. Stop trying to go yard. We've seen it throughout. You put the ball in play, good things happen. You force them to make mistakes. And you've got guys on base like Duran or Rafaela or Hamilton or Romy, guys with speed. Again, because they have speed, if you put the ball in play, they force certain defenses throughout the league to make mistakes because they have to hurry. We've seen it, but you have to do it, right? Get on base, put it in play, move guys over.
Yeah, too many strikeouts this year for the Red Sox. They haven't done that enough. Hopefully they can get it done against the Yankees this weekend. All right, we'll continue on the other side, 310 to the left, presented by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series. We'll hear from Big Papi, who knows a thing or two about the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry. That's coming up next.
I think with Raf it's going to be a matter of time. He's doing absolutely great as a DH, which is what the team wants. But at some point, he's gonna mature and he's gonna understand that when it comes down to be a part of a club, you gotta be all in, And I know it's a very premature situation because everything is starting in spring training when, they had to move him out of third base. They basically asked him to be a DH, and all of a sudden, the first base situation shows up. But I think he's gonna mature and he's gonna get quiet there. I mean, he's doing phenomenal as a DH. I thought he was gonna have a hard time, but the guy is a pure hitter.
All right, that's David Ortiz. I'm Rafael Devers on an earlier episode this week of the 310 to Left podcast with TC and Alex Spear. That was at David Ortiz's charity golf tournament. And, the big conversation, obviously, with Rafi at the beginning of the year was, all right, he doesn't want to be the DH. That was in spring training. And then they had a conversation. He's the DH. And then you have the injury to Tristan Casas. You're going to pick up a glove and play first base. Some conflicting information from the Red Sox, we'll say, when it came to that. And then the injury to Alex Bregman. You're going to play third base. So right now, he is the DH. But with all of that said, he's having a career year in many ways. And at first, I was yeah, play first base or, maybe go over to third. Now I'm kind of like, do you really want to do that? Because I don't want him to stop swinging it like it is, like he is. The walks this year, Lenny, have been a big thing, right? Like his swing decisions, all of those things, that have improved as a DH. And I don't know if that's just the maturity of Rafael Devers overall, or if it's the product of him not having to play the field.
Yeah, I think you're right. I feel like he is maturing as a hitter. When the biggest difference between minor leagues and big leagues, obviously there's a talent difference there, but when guys go down on rehab stints, they come back up and they say, man, the biggest difference, they swing at everything. They swing at everything. There's no plate discipline at all. So I feel like this is just an older, more mature Rafael Devers kind of figuring out that, okay, if I don't go outside the strike zone, they're going to come to me eventually. And if they don't, I'm going to take a base, which, again, the old cliche, a walk's as good as a hit. He's on base so many times this year because of that. So, and we've seen historically Rafael Devers do a lot of damage on balls. He's a great bad ball hitter, outside, up, down, whatever. He can go get it. But that's no way to live, right? The number one hitting rule in baseball, according to Ted Williams, was get a good pitch to hit. If you can get a good pitch to hit, that's where you're going to do your damage. And we've seen it throughout this year of him not chasing pitches, getting good pitches to hit, and going off. I mean, really just seeing the ball and hitting mistakes over the plate. But, again, you talk about how he's kind of been yanked around. There might have been a little bit of a communication issue early. They wanted him to DH, obviously, but when did they tell him that? In
Right.
spring training, which in my opinion is pretty late. You got to be able to respect the player, whoever it is, whether he's making 300 million or league minimum. Okay, it is what it is. And at first, I was kind of like, you know what, you need to do everything the team asks you to do, and stop being a baby, whatever. But I get
Yeah.
it now.
Right.
They're asking him to do this, they're asking him to do that. There's a lot going on, and that's mentally taxing. People don't understand how mentally taxing that is. Just look at his first 15 or 19 at bats. Right, his first 19 at bats, he struck out 15 times. This is Rafael Devers, and I feel like a lot of that has to do with the mental part of the game. Probably some mechanics in there too, but just not being so sure of himself because they took the glove away, kind of doubting himself, mixed in a little bit of mechanical issues, timing issues, and that's what you get. But now that he's kind of settled into the DH role, he's hitting the ball extremely well. You're right. Do you want to have him put a glove on when he's doing what he's doing right now on the field? That's kind of an iffy because you don't want him to go back to where he was in the first, 2 weeks of the season or first week of the season. That's just not going to help this ball club out. So it's kind of up in the air. We did see him take some ground balls at shortstop the other day with a training mitt. I don't know if he was doing that to mess with us or what, but he said he likes to field, so that just might be part of his new routine to keep loose and in tune with the game for pregame. Who knows?
Yeah, and maybe this is a lazy comparison, but he's reminding me a lot of David Ortiz in his plate approach and his discipline up there, right? Because Big Papi would take his walks. And I think that was part of his evolution as a hitter as well. It's probably the evolution of every great hitter is, your swing decisions and, if the ball's in the zone, you're cranking. But with Devers, I feel like, the way he's taking pitches right now and not chasing the high pitches out of the zone, right? We'd see him do that. We'd see him swing at pitches in the dirt. And sometimes he would be able to to hit those pitches because he's a good bad ball hitter. But I love this version of Rafael Devers at the plate. So, hopefully he can continue to swing it and the Red Sox can join him, this weekend against the Yankees, right?
There's nothing better than when we go into a pitcher's meeting and talk about the offense that we're about to face. When they say, okay, this is a really aggressive club, you're like, cha-ching, perfect,
Yeah.
because you can easily get ahead by throwing a ball off the plate. And once you do that, you're bouncing balls, you're throwing balls at their neck that they're swinging at. It's such a relief. But when you hear that, okay, this team's patient, you really have to come to them. Now it's a completely different game plan. You have to pick, and when you pick, you're different. It's a different mentality, right? You're just not as aggressive. And again, walks. Leadoff walks, 2-out walks. What do they tend to do? They score. They score all the time. So again, he's as a threat with the bat, but he's also a threat because he's getting on base so many times this year, right? And that's just going to continue to force pitchers to come in the zone. And we know what happens when pitchers come in the zone and make mistakes to Rafael Devers. See ya, right?
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Yep. So you got Devers, who knows the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry very well. 113 regular season games. He's got 28 home runs in the 113 regular season games. And then you got some players who are new to the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry that will be experiencing it for the first time. And it's not just the young guys. It's the veteran guys as well, including all three pitchers that will be on the mound for the Red Sox in this series, right? Walker Buehler, no stranger to facing the Yankees, of course, last year in the World Series, but has never experienced Red Sox Yankees. And Garrett Crochet, who's experienced White Sox Yankees, but not Red Sox. And then Hunter Dobbins, who's in his rookie season. So, Lenny, I'll just ask you about, your first outing against the Yankees back in the day, 2004, and you take us through.
Yeah, so April 23rd, Derek Lowe threw a gem, and Tito put me in a situation. We were up by 8, 9 runs, I think, and he put me in the ninth inning. I don't know how many people were there. It's Yankees Red Sox, so I feel like everybody stayed, even though it was a blowout. And I had, Sheffield, Matsui, and Bernie Williams in a row coming up. I mean, are you going to face
No big deal.
one of the toughest 3 ever for your debut? And I remember hearing everything from the fans yelling at you. And this is part of it, right? Those fans are going to let you know that they're there, whether you're in the bullpen, warming up, whether you're taking batting practice, they're going to let you know it every second. You're in the dugout, guess what? You're going to hear it. It's just part of it. And when you're playing for the White Sox, it's not the same. This is just like a baseball game. When you're Red Sox coming into Yankee Stadium, it is a different beast. And I remember running onto the field, not being able to feel my legs, completely numb. I'm surprised I didn't trip on the way. And I got there, and I was a nervous wreck. I don't know how many strikes I threw during my warm-up pitches, and I ended up getting it together. Thank goodness. I got a ground out. Mark Bellhorn was playing third base that day. Dave McCarty, rest in peace, was at first base. So I got a ground ball to third. I ended up striking out Matsui on what would be called in today's game a sweeper. I just called it like a long cutter. It was a big cutter slider deal. We didn't have all the names for him back then, but I ended up striking him out, and I got another ground ball to third to get Sheffield out, and unscathed. You only get one debut, right? And I'm glad I'm talking about it this way and not I didn't get out of the inning, Could have happened very easily.
Your cutter registered as a sweeper, probably, right?
Probably. Because sometimes it would be short like this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be short like this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be long like this and this.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I just tried to spin it as fast as I could and get in on those righties. And it was a pitch.
Yeah, there was no Statcast. There was no such thing as a sweeper back then, right? So there was.
I wish we had the 8mm footage to show everybody right now. Super grainy, black and white.
It is tough watching video that you don't think was that long ago, and it looks like it was 50 years ago. I found that watching video from the mid 2000s on, even up to 2010, it's just oh my gosh, why does this look so old? It wasn't that long ago. And speaking of old and new, I know you pitched, obviously, you're talking about your debut, which was at old Yankee Stadium. Did you ever pitch at new Yankee Stadium?
No, when I was in when I was in Kansas City, I want to say 2009, we went there, but I didn't pitch. I wasn't scheduled to start any of those games. But I will tell you, in 04, in 05, and 06, when I was with the Red Sox, walking around the innards of old Yankee Stadium, you felt like you were in the last level in Super Mario Brothers. The pipes everywhere. I felt like everything was just asbestos everywhere. You knew that Babe Ruth probably walked in the same path that you were walking on to get to the clubhouse. And it was a real small clubhouse, a lot of just, I don't know what to say about it, but it was just a very cool experience, the old Yankee Stadium. And then when you walk into new Yankee Stadium, it felt like you're walking to an office building,
Yeah.
Everything's kind of boxy. You can't see, it's all there, but there's missing parts in old Yankee Stadium. There's no ceiling, right? But it's different. I always appreciated Old Yankee Stadium because of just the history, obviously, and the new one's just not the same. I didn't feel it.
No, it's nice, and I've been to both as well as a spectator and as, covering the team. The first time I was there was 2003, for the ALCS, which was just an incredible experience. Obviously, not the ending anybody here in Boston wanted, but the atmosphere and the electricity in the ballpark and the history, right? Because you felt like you were in a museum. Right. And you felt like, it's just like just the great history of Yankee Stadium, just like the great history of Fenway Park. And those ballparks are few and far between now, because you talk about Fenway now and Wrigley and I mean Dodger Stadium a little bit, right? But that's a team that was in Brooklyn, right? So those
I
are the three.
I always use the analogy, or I'm thinking of an analogy right now, of guitars, right? You can go to a guitar shop and you can get a brand new, nice, sweet sounding guitar. But there's something about Willie Nelson's old guitar Trigger. It's got all these holes in it and it's beat up and it's got
Yeah.
people's etched their name in the guitar. That's special. That's special because that thing's been around for years and years and years. It's been played. Right? There's something special about that. That was Old Yankee Stadium versus that shiny new guitar that might sound good, might look pretty, but it needs 100 years of ball in that stadium to get where Old Yankee Stadium was. It's got to get beat up a little bit in order to get that type of feel that you look for when you think about it.
Yep, absolutely. So hopefully it feels like the Red Sox are coming in there and taking control this weekend. Maybe hopefully that's the feel from
Absolutely.
Boston's perspective. All right, we'll continue our conversation after the break. You're watching 310 to Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers.
No, I think, in a lot of ways, Roman is dictating that timetable. We're obviously very, very aware of what he's been able to do in Worcester, and there's no doubt he's going to have a significant impact on our major league team. I can't answer exactly when, but that's an ongoing conversation.
All right.
All right. Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow talking to Tom Caron earlier this week regarding Roman Anthony and his status within the organization. Will we see him anytime soon? He remains in Worcester. The Woo Sox have a game tonight at Polar Park against Rochester. I can tell you that there has been nothing from the team at this point in terms of a press release announcing any roster transaction. So we sit here and wait, Lenny, for Roman Anthony to make his major league debut, and it's anybody's guess at this point. There's been a lot of predictions, right? TC had been talking about it. We talked a couple weeks ago. He said, I think it's happening tomorrow. Some people had said before the All-Star break, some before the trade deadline. I think Pap had said like September. So it's all over the place. Nobody really knows when it's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's not news that this kid's ready. I mean, there's really nothing else he can do in AAA to prove that, okay, you got to do this before you come up to the big leagues. Yeah, he's ready. And I'm not sure if it's just service time manipulation or something like that. But, if you're going to call him up, I think now's the time, right? Not only because you look at the record, but if you're worried about him coming up and failing, you've got two other rookies up right now in Meyer and Campbell that are going to take some of that pressure off of him. If he was the only guy up, that's one thing, right? But the fact that you've got
All right. Lenny DiNardo at Fenway Park experiencing some technical difficulties once again with the Wi-Fi signal. Just continuing the conversation on Roman Anthony. Again, the Woo Sox play Rochester tonight at Polar Park. And Kyle Teal was just promoted from Charlotte, AAA Charlotte, to the White Sox. Teal was a part of the Garrett Crochet trade, a former first-round pick, 14th overall of the Red Sox. And, he's having a heck of a year with Charlotte through 50 games. He's got an OPS close to 900. And, no word if he's going to make his major league debut tonight against the Royals. But you talk about Teal, Marcelo Meyer, and Christian Campbell have been called up to the big leagues before Roman Anthony, and Roman Anthony is the number one prospect in all of baseball, as Lenny DiNardo once again joins us. Do you like doing that for dramatic effect? Like, do you like to sort of swoop in and save the day, or is it just the Wi-Fi signal?
I'm not sure if I like making a grand entrance or exit, but I'm doing my fair share of both today, unfortunately. But what I was saying is, if you're going to bring up Anthony, you want to bring him up when there's not a lot of pressure, and having Marcelo Meyer and Christian Campbell on the Red Sox as well at the same time is only going to kind of help him get to the big leagues and feel more comfortable. And there's a lot of other youngsters that are 1, 2, 3 years into the big leagues right now that can also do that. But these are guys that he played with throughout the minor leagues. So, when I came up, Euclid and I were the two guys. Mark Malaska and Phil Seibel and Abe Alvarez were kind of up a little bit. But Uke and I had the lion's share of time as rookies in '04, and it helped. It helped because we kind of sat together on the bus. We talked about baseball. We were roommates in '05. Our next year, we got hazed together. They don't really do that anymore, but any kind of similarity in role and service time can help him go out there and make his way and navigate at the big league level. Because on the field, listen, he's going to do well. He's going to struggle. They always do. But it's about making that bounce back adjustment right from there. And having teammates around him that are also young is going to help that as well. We're seeing Campbell go through it right now. Came up, was outstanding, went through an adjustment period where pitchers said, okay, this is the book on him. This is how we get him out. And he's in the process right now of navigating that and making adjustments from there. So, again, he's ready. There's nothing else he can do to prove that he needs to get in the big leagues. So we'll see.
Sort of wonder with Campbell, since you brought him up, gets off to the hot start in April. He signs the contract extension. And throughout May and now the beginning of June, he just hasn't been the same. And he's still a young player. Would he benefit from going down to AAA and getting some at bats there? Or is he at the point now where, he's just got to sort of, that wouldn't help. He just needs to figure it out at the big league level. That's sort of a tough call, I would think.
Well, figuring it out at the big league level is extremely hard. When they've got a book on you and they say, okay, up and in, breaking balls down below the zone, he's going to chase. They're going to continue to do that. And they've been doing that, and he just hasn't made the adjustment yet. Sending him down might get him right because he's just not going to see the same quality of pitching. But at the same time, mentally, it's going to stink because he was so good to start the season, and then he struggled. And the fact that you get sent down after making the squad out of spring training, it's going to affect people differently. Everybody bounces back, and that goes back to makeup. When you scout a guy, you want to know how he's going to react to some sort of defeat at one point, right? And how long it takes for him to bounce back from that. So you could go those two directions. It just depends on what he does with them,
Yeah. Because it looks like things are speeding up on him a little bit, just watching him play over the last month or so. Marcelo Meyer looks more comfortable. You feel like he's ready. Right? He just has that sort of the way about him. And then, we'll see what happens with Roman Anthony moving forward. I want to talk about our colleague, or former colleague, I guess. We don't work with him anymore, but feels like he's still a part of the NESN team. It's Dennis Eckersley, Hall of Famer, who was inducted into another Hall of Fame, the Massachusetts Broadcasters Hall of Fame, and along with another former colleague of ours, Dale Arnold, many, many years on Bruins coverage here at NESN. But Eck getting into the Broadcasters Hall of Fame, it's a no-brainer, man. We all miss him. Working with him, watching him call games, and I remember the first time that I got to work with him at NESN because he was still doing pre and post game for the most part when I started back in 2012, and getting to and really for me just getting to do shows at first with Jim Rice and Tim Wakefield and Dennis Eckersley was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, these are guys that I grew up watching, and now I'm getting to do, Red Sox baseball coverage with them. It was pretty awesome. But, with Eck, it was a little different.
I thought you were going to say, and now I'm doing them with you. I was waiting for it.
If I was going to do that, Lenny, I would have referenced it right off the top when you said, well, Yaz used to come to this event at Fenway, and now I'm here. So I didn't go there, but since you brought it up.
I'm sorry, man. I'm doing my best.
No, you're the man. You're the man. You're the man. I love working with you. You know that. But and I love working with everybody. But I just when I first got to Nesson after coming from local news and getting to watch these guys play and now getting to work with them was pretty cool. But with Eck, I didn't like him. I didn't like Eck because Eck used to beat us back in the day when he was with the A's in 2 playoff series in '88 and '90. And I was like, oh, man, I hate this guy. He's cocky. I don't like him watching him play. But then obviously as a broadcaster, he was so much fun to work with. And then, when he called games in the booth essentially full time after the great Jerry Remy passed away, he was so unique. He was so much fun to work with. And I know that you got to work with him too, Lenny. So what are your thoughts on Eck?
Yeah, I mean, first, you've got the knowledge. He played the game for so long, but the energy that Eck would bring day in and day out, just the Eckisms too, the stuff that he would say are legendary. The moss, the branch work. I mean, everything that he used to say was just incredible. It always, my favorite was when what's his name got knocked out of the game early.
Wade Miley?
Wade Miley got knocked out of the game early and was like complaining to Farrell about whatever in the dugout, and Eck just went off, right? He's like, you just got your lunch. Get out of here. It's like, that's what you're looking for when you turn on the TV and you're watching a pre-post game show. That's exactly what you're looking for. Honesty, energy, knowledge. He brought it all every day and was just a blast to watch, to listen to work with. Incredible. He's just the type of guy that whatever he does, he's going to bring that, whether it's baseball, broadcasting, he's going to bring it every day. And you got to love and respect that.
Yeah, he did. He loved baseball, right? He loves baseball, right? He loves watching baseball. And he didn't just watch the Red Sox. Like, he wasn't just the type of guy that, watch the Red Sox games and come to work, talk about the Red Sox. Like, he was watching baseball across the league. And the thing that I love about Eck too is that when I did shows with him, like, I'm just this, like, watched a college baseball player who, didn't play in the big leagues. But like, he talked to me as if we were sort of equals, right? Like, he would ask my opinion on stuff just when we were watching the game together doing a show. And he does that with everybody. Like, anybody that would come into the room when we were watching the game, getting ready for a show, he'd ask them opinion. It would be like you were talking to just a buddy about baseball. And I love that sort of down to earth. It's not like, a baseball elitist like you, who just like look down on everybody, like flashing your ring everywhere. It's really tough to work with, but Eck was really solid here.
Yeah, when we do these pre and post games together, you always bring these ideas, and I'm like, I act like I'm writing it down, but I'm usually drawing stick figures of cats and dogs and stuff and whatnot. I'm like, whatever, Adam, whatever.
Yeah, I know. But hey, congratulations to Dennis Eckersley, well-deserved honor, Massachusetts Broadcasters Hall of Fame. All right, we got more to come here on the 310 to Left podcast presented by your New England Ford dealers, including our colleague Tom Caron. Throwing out the first pitch. We'll bring you that next.
All right, getting ready for the first pitch here at Polar Park before the Red Sox game. I'm trying to decide if I just do or if I go like full T-on maybe, but that might hurt my back. We'll see.
All right, TC at Polar Park throwing out the first pitch before the Red Sox game. There you go. He's got his special first pitch hat. And there he is on the mound. So what did he go with? All right, he did go with the glove up to the face, shaking off some signs, going with the heat. Didn't go the T-aunt, and just a little toss. What was that, about, 20 feet, you'd say, Lenny?
Yeah, that's not very far. I'm going to have to get on to him about that. But I will say he did do a little Kershaw. Look at the glove up, down, and then forward. That's a little Clayton Kershaw right there. I like it.
Yeah. Little Clayton Kershaw, little high on the pitch. Here's the breakdown from TC.
Well, all right, it was a little bit high, but in all fairness, it was, I was gearing up for a 60-foot, 6-inch throw, and it was like a 20-foot throw, so I had a little bit on it, but I shook off the catcher too many times. I should have gone with what he called at the beginning, which was a fastball down the middle. I tried a little cutter, sweeper combo, kind of a creeper. It didn't work.
I'm lost. What did he throw?
Creeper? Was that a creeper? Not surprising that there's a pitch called the creeper in 2025.
Is that what he said he threw?
I thought I heard creeper, but I don't know. But you know what? They probably made him go out a little bit in front of the mound. I'm guessing they did because I know TC and he would want to pitch from the rubber.
Yeah.
That's my guess. They said, all right, just sneak up here a little bit, throw it. But yeah, that as far as speed, that's going to rival Brock Holt's record of what is it, 32 miles an hour is the slowest pitch in
Yeah.
Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
But
Slowest
that
pitch in
gets
Major
outs
League
these
Baseball.
days.
Yeah.
I like the mechanics though.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the windup. You don't see the full sort of windup anymore, so that was sort of a throwback. And yeah, there we go. There's another look at first pitch hat. That's pretty cool that they do a first pitch hat. You've probably, I'm sure you've thrown out first pitch at ballparks before, Lenny. Do you get a first pitch hat every time?
I actually did this in Worcester last season. I threw out the first pitch. I did not get a first pitch hat, unfortunately. I'm going to have to make a call and see if I can get one of those if I come back at any point and do this. But I did throw to Rich Gedman, which is always a thrill. He's my buddy from fantasy camp. And he's got stories because we have a pro camper game when I could actually throw a baseball before it's taped together right now. But I would actually let it eat, and I would throw sliders and cutters and everything. Sometimes it would bounce, and he would come to me after with all these bruises. So I always appreciate Getty for putting up with my antics. He's great.
Yeah,
I threw to a guy that caught Roger Clemens' 28 strikeout game.
Pretty awesome,
right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's pretty awesome. All right, so we only have a few minutes left, and we're looking forward to Red Sox Yankees for the first time in 2025, first of 13. The storied rivalry goes back so many years and so many great moments. I'll just ask you, I think I know what the answer is, but your favorite moment of the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry, Lenny?
Oh, man, there's so many. When you talk about the rivalry and getting after it, so to speak, I mean, it goes back to Thurman Munson, Bill Lee, Greg Nettles, right? And then you can think of, was it Tyler Austin, Joe Kelly Fight Club?
Yeah.
Actually, I skipped Veritek and A-Rod. Veritek and A-Rod in 04. Then you got Tyler Austin. We need a little bit of that. It's 2025 right now. I feel like we're due for just a little bit of a scuffle right now. I don't want to say full-out melee on the field, but just a little bit of spark would help this club. And what better than in New York right now to get this team kind of getting the blood flowing a little bit, right? Let's see what happens.
Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Right? And
we saw it the other day with Flores, right? We saw it the other day. I love it.
Yeah, we did. We saw a little fight. They're 1-0, by the way, since that little altercation, we'll call it that. But yeah, I mean, for me, the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry, in 03, 04, was incredible. And we got it back a little bit, later on in 21, in 18, in 21, you got it back a little bit, and even the years where the Red Sox were winning the division, in the 16, 17 years as well. And so, yeah, it's been a little bit. It's been a little bit now. So you're looking for, hopefully some fireworks this weekend, not necessarily, throwing punches or anything like that, but hopefully you're getting some kind of fight from the Red Sox. Hopefully, there's a little bit of good vibes going in after the walk-off against the Angels. And again, I'm not saying that win against the Angels, that's going to turn the season around, but it's positive, right? And that's what you're looking for. You're looking to take little steps forward, right? And so if a win with the shortest walk-off in the history of Major League Baseball, distance-wise, and a home run is something that can do that. Walker Buehler, who obviously is looking to, sort of get back to who he was, right, with the Dodgers, and get back to, some of the starts that we had seen with the Red Sox. Rough start last time out against the Braves. Was able to pitch in the sixth inning, but still, allowed, like 10 hits, 6 runs, or whatever the final line was. And he's a veteran, a lot of pride. He wants his first outing against the Yankees to be impactful. So you're looking for all those things.
Yeah, I'm looking for a little bit of grit from this club, right? Yeah, the record is what it is, but if you can turn this season around just with sheer grit, right? And I feel like that's what the 03 and the 04 team brought to the table day in and day out. And you mentioned Walker Buehler. He's a veteran guy that could possibly bring that to the table. I've seen that from him. He can go out there, maybe bust some towers just to kind of, hey, this is who we're going to be from now on. We're showing some grit. We're going to play the game hard. We're going to go into the bags legally, but we're going to go into the bags hard at second base. I want to see more of that this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you got Garrett Crochet in game 2, and he's up for it. And we love watching Garrett Crochet pitch. We just want to see him get some run support, right? He was spotted 3 runs in the first inning of his last start against the Braves, which was a good thing. That was it. But at least the Red Sox got on the lead early. So you'd love to see him get all over Yarbrough because, yeah, he's been pitching well. But this is a guy that's very hittable, right? And the Red Sox have hit him before, right? He is due. He is due. This dude's not going to be spinning 2 ERA, for the rest of the year as a starting pitcher. So maybe this is the opportunity where the Red Sox get to him, and then you're able to take the first 2 games of the series, get greedy. Get greedy with Hunter Dobbins on the mound.
That's a statement. You take 2 out of 3, or if you sweep the Yankees right now in the first meeting, that's an absolute statement to where they could and need to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you come back to Fenway Park. So we'll see how things play out in the Bronx. Hey, have a great time at Fenway, Lenny.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks for watching 310 to Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers. We will see you next week. We'll see how this rivalry plays out this weekend.